pre-flop initiates a spectacular leveling war between two of Canada's finest poker minds, showcasing how high-stakes tournament poker often revolves around playing the player rather than the cards.
Just can't see.
No.
Thank you.
No problem.
The action begins with Sam Stein opening to 17,000 from the cutoff. McDonald, sitting on the button, looks down at ace-jack offsuit. It is a strong hand, but instead of calling, he decides to apply pressure with a 3-bet to 42,000, targeting Stein's wide opening range. However, Negreanu is waiting in the big blind with Queen 10 suited. This is where the psychology deepens. Negreanu knows that McDonald knows that Stein is opening light. Therefore, Negreanu assumes McDonald's 3-bet range is also very wide. Negreanu decides to run a cold 4-bet bluff to 96,000. It is a bold move, completely based on the players, not the cards. Stein quickly gets out of the way, but McDonald isn't finished. Believing Negreanu is making a move, McDonald clicks it back, 5-betting to 150,000.
Can't see.
Re-raise
150.
makes it a total 150,000.
Yeah, can you see that stare down?
Now, Negreanu is in a bizarre spot. He has been re-raised by a player he was trying to bluff. However, because the 5-bet is relatively small and the pot is so bloated, Negreanu feels priced in. He makes the call with Queen 10, taking a massive inflated pot to the flop out of position.
I check.
The flop falls a completely disconnected board that misses both players entirely. The pot is a staggering 328,000. Negreanu, the pre-flop caller, checks. McDonald, having seized the initiative with his 5-bet, fires a continuation bet of 77,000. He is representing a premium overpair like kings or aces, trying to end the hand right there. But Negreanu is reading the narrative, not the board. He knows McDonald 5-bet light, and he knows this flop doesn't connect with the type of hands McDonald would use to do that. Negreanu decides to pull the trigger on a massive high-variance play. This is a breathtaking display of aggression. Negreanu is holding absolutely nothing but queen high, yet he is playing his hand exactly as if he had flopped a set of 9s or 4s.
Can you show any? No, don't actually, don't.
Don't show?
I'm recommending.
You recommend I don't show?
No, I was going to say show
go
1.
with Scott
No,
Seaver's
I was going to say
recommendation.
show 2 or 0. Don't show 1 here.
Don't show 1, because that's needle-ish?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, 2 or 0.
I'm going to show... I'm going to go with my lawyer and go 0.
Yeah.
Negreanu is looking down on 10-9 suited. Shlomi opens to $475 with pocket kings, the classic early position value raise that invites dominated high cards to make mistakes. Boniati flats behind, a routine set mine that keeps the opener wide and creates a pot where overpairs are forced to play multi-way. On the button, Negreanu overcalls with 10-9 suited. He buys position against a likely overpair, keeps the pot single raised so his connected hand can realize, and preserves a post-flop story that can credibly arrive at straights and 2-pair on many middling runouts. With 3 players and deep stacks, Negreanu's plan is to control price now and fight for leverage later. The board rolls out wet and middle, exactly the texture that pressures an opener's range. Shlomi continuation bets $1,525 into 2 opponents to tax the spades and charge the gutters while protecting his likely overpair. Boniati steps aside, Negreanu continues. With top pair, strong kicker for this configuration, and position, calling is superior to raising. It keeps Shlomi's bluffs alive, avoids isolating versus the strongest value, and retains every turn card that can add equity or scare an overpair. He's now set up to maneuver without inflating the pot unnecessarily. The Queen of Hearts lands. That card is fine for kings, but improves Negreanu's believable value region to include Queen 9 and some 2-pair that could have peeled. Shlomi opts for a measured $2,125, continuing his value protection line, without bloating the pot on a card that helps the caller more than the pre-flop raiser. Negreanu calls again, disciplined and deliberate. He keeps his range uncapped, realizes equity with 10-9, and holds the option to seize the narrative on favorable rivers, or punish thin value bets with a polarizing raise. The river is the 8 of clubs, a quiet but meaningful shift that completes 6-7 and strengthens combos like 9-8 that Negreanu can absolutely show up with. Shlomi puts out a small $3,000 bet, more price setting than power, trying to get looked up by worse pairs while avoiding a big decision. Negreanu springs the trap to $12,800, polarizing himself to straights, 2-pair, or sets, and telling a story perfectly consistent with his passive turn. 10-9 is a sharp candidate. It blocks calls from Queen 9, doesn't block missed spades, and represents exactly the value holdings that beat an overpair.
Here, aces or kings? Can I say that, or is that illegal? Heads up. I can say what he has, but not what I have. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking aces or kings.
I appreciate you watching this far. Could you please give this video a like? Thank you.
And Shlomi's now thinking, if you've read me for aces or kings, surely you can beat aces or kings. I have to fold.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at pocket nines. Pre-flop begins with a straddle from Tony G, a strategic choice that doubles the stakes, but also inflates his ego, forcing the table to play on his terms. Negreanu, sitting with pocket nines, decides to take control. He raises to 3,200. It is a strong raise, designed to isolate the straddler and define ranges early. However, Tony G is not a player who folds his straddle easily. Looking down at 5-3 suited, a hand that most players would instantly muck, Tony sees potential. He defends.
Me and the G.
Relying on his ability to outplay Negreanu post-flop rather than the raw strength of his cards. The flop is an action-packed texture that hits Tony G's garbage range significantly harder than it hits Negreanu's premium range. Negreanu, holding the overpair, leads out for 4,500. He is betting for value and protection, knowing that nines are vulnerable on this low, connected board. Tony G makes the call. He has too much equity to fold. The turn brings the jack, a card that is better for Negreanu's range than for Tony's. Negreanu fires a second barrel of 11,000. This is a critical point. Negreanu is polarizing his hand. He is saying he can beat a pair of fives. Tony G, however, enters sheriff mode. He refuses to believe Negreanu. He convinces himself that the jack is a good card for Negreanu to bluff on. The river is the 10. Negreanu, sensing that Tony is in call-down mode, decides to go for thin value. He bets 21,000. It is a large bet, asking Tony to pay a premium to see the cards. Tony G goes into the tank. He looks at his pair of fives, which is effectively fourth pair. To call here, he has to believe Negreanu has exactly ace-king or a total air bluff.
Good bet. Too good.
I would have flopped a straight if I played my hand.
I was even money. Had a
On
pain,
flop?
straight draw.
Yeah, that's what I put you on. You turn a straight draw. Like a G flop.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 10-7 offsuit, but Seaver has raised to $1,300 with pocket fives, and Hashem has called with Jack 10 suited.
Uh-oh, this is Daniel's favorite hand, and it's actually gotten him into trouble in the big game before.
Re-raises on the button to 5,200.
He knows Seaver's range is wide and Hashem's flat is vulnerable. Even though it's his favorite hand, he's trying to play the players, not the cards. This raise is about letting them know that he's going to give them a hard time this hand if they decide to play along.
Scott Seaver is really hoping Daniel has an overpair so that he has the right implied odds to make this call.
Hashem folded, so heads up to the flop. King, deuce, queen. Seaver checks the best hand.
Negreanu knows Seaver could easily have king-queen here after raising and then calling Daniel's re-raise pre-flop. But why would he check? Daniel smells weakness, and that's usually when he gets curious.
He reps, betting 6,200.
Looks like Scott's gonna peel.
He calls.
Hashem wants his cards back.
6 of spades on the turn. Seaver checks.
Daniel still got just 10 high. This is one of the dangers of having a favorite hand.
Daniel does not look like he's about to check. After just calling the flop and checking the turn, Negreanu is probably putting Seaver on a draw or the weak pocket pair he does indeed have. He's thinking, if I apply the right pressure now, Seaver might just fold and give me all the money.
Daniel does fire that third barrel, making it 14,200 to go.
I could justify Scott's call on the flop, thinking maybe Daniel would shut down after one bet, but Daniel certainly hasn't shut down.
Seaver keeps it going. He calls.
Seaver's totally stationing Negreanu.
You mean like a calling station?
Exactly.
4 clubs on the river. Seaver checks.
Sick.
Daniel fires 36,000.
Seaver is capped, checked every street, and never repped strength. Daniel has nothing, but he knows Seaver is weak enough to fold. This is a masterclass.
Folds the winner.
Phew-wee. You had me staring. I had my favorite hand. You know what that is?
10-7?
7 of diamonds and 10 of clubs specifically. Can't believe I got away with a bluff.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at Queen 7 suited.
36. So you have a few more years before you get in that Poker Hall of Fame. You're both going to get in, for sure. 100%.
Cool.
You two. I don't know, but no offense, I don't think you guys can get in yet. Maybe. A little bit.
Okay, I'm
Maybe
not
some
a
more stuff.
That's all I ever wanted to do in my life.
In your life was
get
be
in
in
the Poker Hall of Fame. It's like the little ceremony and
Yeah.
what do they do there?
You just
It was probably
have free food.
cool, right? It was
I didn't think
cool.
it was a big. I was like,
When's
I
your
didn't
ceremony?
care.
When's your ceremony?
Oh, it was already done. November last year.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, you were supposed to speak there for me and all that. You were busy.
You were supposed to speak.
Seriously?
I don't know where you were. Yeah.
I would have came to it. I didn't even know.
Pre-flop begins in the high-stakes environment of the shark cage, where the unique shot clock and penalty rules add an extra layer of psychological stress to every decision.
Raise 30,000.
Negreanu, the master of small ball and reading souls, decides to widen his range significantly from late position. He opens the action to 30,000 holding Queen 7 of clubs. While this is a statistically loose open, Negreanu relies on his ability to outmaneuver his opponents post-flop. The flop falls a disconnected and dry board texture that seemingly favors the pre-flop caller. Antonio has an overpair to the board, but true to his defensive line, he checks to the raiser. Negreanu, holding absolutely nothing but queen high, chooses a very disciplined checkback. The turn brings the 6, a card that adds a layer of complexity to the board. Antonio, sensing that the free pass on the flop has ended, decides to take the betting lead. He fires 53,000. He is betting for value and protection. Negreanu, now holding significant equity with his straight draw and his overcard queen, makes the easy call. The river is the 4. Antonio looks at the board and sees nothing but low cards. He remains convinced that his pocket tens are an unbeatable overpair in this specific spot. He decides to go for a massive value bet, firing 100,000 into the pot. This is where the trap snaps shut.
So he wants to go to the cage, is what he's saying. I think you might go. I don't know. So if he's bluffing, I call him. He goes, hangs out there for a little while. Ah.
Daniel calls with his straight. Boom.
Antonio, let's see that.
He goes to go to the cage, right? If it's a bluff. No, value, never mind.
You thought it was another card?
Straight. I have straight.
Straight with Queen 7.
Of course. God, you just get there. I do. That's how I play.
Dude, that's how I play.
You just
I'm so happy.
sick. The worst winner ever.
You just look so steamed every time Daniel beats you.
Always has it. Fucking unbelievable.
Like, you wouldn't be upset if I beat you like that, would you?
No, not as
No.
It's annoying the way that I win. I'm like Floyd Mayweather, you know? Boring to watch, but I win. I find a way.
Jennifer Tilly is looking down on 8-6 suited. Negreanu opens with ace-2 offsuit. That is a light but purposeful steal, using the ace as a blocker to reduce the chance he runs into a premium and leaning on position to realize whatever equity shows up later. Tilly answers with a re-raise. That choice is great against a suspected wide open because suited connectors play cleanly post-flop, deny cheap realization to the opener, and set her up to attack a player who loves to take flops.
It's a little too small, Jen. Phil Locke is going to be upset with you after that raise size because it's too small. Like,
Last time I took advice from you, I lost the tournament.
sorry.
Negreanu calls rather than four-betting. He keeps her range wide, carries the positional advantage into a pot that is not yet bloated, and quietly pockets the option to turn later cards into leverage, even when he misses.
Okay, now I'm going to do the dunk bet.
That's not a donk bet because you were the pre-flop raiser.
Oh, okay, it's not a dunk bet.
It's a continuation bet.
A continuation bet.
Tilly follows through for a small C-bet. The sizing stresses floats and gut shots and keeps her range comfortably uncapped.
A lot of bad cards come off, and then I can just bluff raise the turn or something stupid like that.
You could.
Turn a pair into a bluff. I'm really good at that. It's one of my big things Bill Reynolds taught me.
Negreanu does not have value, but he does have a plan. He calls to float, buying one more card and preserving the initiative advantage that comes from acting last. If she slows on the turn, he gets to tell the next chapter. If she barrels big, he can release cheaply and move on. The texture inches toward the middling wheelish territory that favors the caller. Tilly checks. That single check compresses her range away from very strong overpairs and toward one-pair hands and draws that prefer pot control. Negreanu seizes the mic with a bet. The number is not huge, but the message is loud. He denies a free card to overcards, pressures hands like ace-queen and king-jack that C-bet once, and begins building a story that can arrive at straights and two-pair by the river. His literal hand did not improve, however his distribution did, because the cards he credibly represent improved. Calling the flop to take it away on the turn is classic small ball pressure, and he executes it cleanly. This is the card that ties the room together, and the run-out connects squarely with the very suited connectors that defend 3-bet pots from the blinds. Tilly leads small. That type of sizing often functions as a blocker, a way to name a price with a hand that does not want to face a pot-sized bomb. To Negreanu, that looks like a door left slightly open. He chooses to kick it in and chips. The shove polarizes him to the straights and strong 2-pair he has been representing since the turn.
We probably have the same hand. Oh, so sick. You have 9-jack, right?
Would that be the same hand as you have? Because if you did have that and you didn't call by now, it would be a little bizarre.
You're in Jennifer Tilly's seat. You have the straight. Negreanu shoves over your small lead. What's your move, snap call, or an impossible fold? And why in one sentence? Best clear answer gets pinned.
Oh, God.
Oh, you have a 6? Can you raise me with a 6 out of position?
No.
That's crazy talk.
Tilly folds.